Good morning, esteemed viewers and followers. Of course, it is the Gambia at 59. Independence celebration today. And then, just to remind you, this is Fine TV Gambia, your live viewpoint. And of course, your current affairs program. But today, on our theme, we have, the journey after independence. I will remain your host, Ibrahim Ambai. And of course, with me here, we have Mr. Mohamed Sidibe, who is a writer, a public speaker, and of course, a youth activist. And of course, we have Mr. Kurubo Sane here, who is an educationist, writer, public speaker, and of course, a youth activist. Likewise, Omar. Omar is not, a new face to you all. Omar Sanyang is a young politician, public speaker, and of course, a youth activist. So, you are all welcome to Fine TV Gambia, and it's a pleasure having you here. So, our today's discussion would be centrally centered on the journey after independence. What really happened? How far is the Gambia since we regained our independence in 1965? So, you, Omar, Kudubu, and Mr. Sidibe, you are all welcome to Fine TV. And it's a pleasure having you here. So, Omar, to start with the questioning or to start with the discussion proper. Omar, how far, is the Gambia since we regained independence in 1965?
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. And our esteemed viewers, just to remind you, this is Fine TV Gambia, your only viewpoint. This is a very important question as we celebrate 59 today. You know, it is a reflection what happens the past 59 years of the country's independence. Is it truly the country that the founding fathers or the forefathers fought for, the likes of Edward Francis Small and Sadara Karaba Jawara? And as much as I might not agree to some extent with my good brother here, Kudubo, on issues of Sadara, but, they ought to be celebrated. They should be. To me, before calling it independence, I think it should be called Founders Fathers Day. We should rebrand the name because I said this somewhere else and I will say it today. A country that solely depends on loans and grants do not have any moral right to celebrate independence. You are having your fund from other parts of the country. They control you directly or indirectly. That is why in 1957, when Ghana regains their independence, and Kwame Nkrumah one time said that imperialism, the new form of colonialism. These are imperial mindsets, that they are going to give you loans and grants, and those loans and grants will be used in your own advantage. To some extent, they are going to use those loans and grants to control your dealings. So it's 59 years today. We celebrate it. Yes, we will, and we should. But we think of this. What really happens within the 59 years? Is Gambia really independent politically, economically, socially? You ask yourself this fundamental question. Is that the case in the country? But you also get to understand that we are having so many loopholes in this country that needs to be fixed within the 59 years. From the first regime, second regime, to Barrow's regime now. You understand that immediately after independence, education is very important. That is why Tanzania became one of the most developed countries in Africa, simply because they invest heavily on education. As I'm speaking to you now, 97% of that country's population is educated. That is why continuously they will be giving themselves leaders who are going to serve the needs and then the aspirations of the people of Tanzania. So yes, my boss here will not agree, but from 1965 to date, when we regain our so-called independence.
Why do you call it so-called?
I will come to that. When we call it our so-called independent, we have issues that should be put in place. Education should be prioritized. The government should invest heavily in education, and there should be a very strong foundation. I can tell you this for free. From 1965, history will tell us that Gambia regained their independence in 18 February. Sadara Karaba Jawara played a crucial role in making sure that the country regains her independence. Edward Francis Small, even though it's very sad that he could not live to witness the independence of the country, but he started the fight for the independence. And he's somebody who dedicated all his life. He did not even have a wife. He did not even have a child. Have you ever heard of anything small now? His lineage is gone. Nobody is here to remember. So it becomes a moral obligation upon this country to remember the likes of Edward Francis Small. How should we remember him? Are we remembering him? Are we celebrating him? Or not even him, but them? You ask yourself this question. But something very instrumental should be laid, that is education. Yes, we were having education, Western education, but it wasn't enough. I think Sadar Karabakh Jawara could have done something way more bigger than that. There should be enough educational mechanisms that can help and save the lives and the livelihoods of the people, the mindset of the people. Build a very strong foundation upon the nation, or upon which the nation will rest. So you understand, by doing so, we will continuously be having leaders who are going to serve the needs and the aspirations of the people. But 59 years now, the literacy level of this country is not even up to 50%. 59 years. That is not a youthful age. If it is a human, it's not a youthful age. It is telling you that the country is sinking. At a youthful age, we all expect if you are strong, you have to do something positive for your people. But the Gambia from 1 to 59, when we regain our independence, there is nothing in this country that someone will be proud of. Mention one. You will not have it. 59 years. It is telling you that Amajite wrote yesterday that people who are born in 1965 are grandparents, but the Gambia is yet to be a parent. That is something that people have to think of. What is in the country that someone should celebrate and say, I'm a Gambian, and these are the things that we have. These are the things that we should. The only thing that we will celebrate is the Gambia is the smiling coast. What makes you the smiling coast? You ask yourself this question. Why are you the smiling coast? If you are not faking what you are we really the smiling coast of West Africa?
Thank you, Umar. We'll come to that. Now to Mr. Saleh. Mr. Saleh, I mean, how would you describe the Gambia, I mean, after attaining 59 years today?
Thank you so much. First of all, I think I want to say that I'm happy that we are here today. And I want to also celebrate with the rest of the Gambians for this day. And before coming to that, I want to say that maybe to a certain level, we have some reasons to celebrate, even not at the magnitude that it is happening today. I'm sorry about that. So we have reasons to celebrate at least our founding fathers, the likes of I'm Gaba Jahumba, Sadaro Kerba Jawara, E.F. Small, Aja Fantundin Jata, and Sanjali Bojang, and all the chiefs that were so instrumental in the fight for self-rule and independence. And after the fight, I guess after independence was attained, and we also have to be conscious of the fact that Sadola and his cohort of leaders at the time maintained this country for us to come and then find our sovereignty and our integrity intact. I'll give you this short history of a country called Zanzibar. There is a country called Zanzibar. This particular country attained independence at about 1965, at the same time with the Gambia. So, but after 2 weeks, the country collapsed. It could not persist. It collapsed. Today, that Republic of Zanzibar is now added to Tanzania. That is why Tanzania is called United Republic. Is Republic of Tanzania today, because that particular country cannot sustain itself, to an extent that it fall. So our case was going to be the same when we do not have a leader that has that education, that foresight, and then that sacrifice that he has done for us. When we are told that when he was coming from independence, in fact, even the pay for civil servants was coming from England. So that could tell the kind of leaders that we have at the time. So it is incumbent upon us today to celebrate those people, that they are able to save that for us, have this country for us, and then when we came, they handed it over to us. Mm-hmm. So I think that alone, is something that is worth mentioning. So aside that, the sacrifice, the love, the patriotism that, and the self-sacrifice that they have. I think these are all issues that we need to recognize today. And I want to send my prayers. Kafa alma niman kafra kalitul be mi alonko bi mantar nunjang subari mbaitan lako ila ya menki jang hansai dalbe munafa kala. So that said, you asked me about the after independence. So that is where I will agree with Umar. And I think when the discussion progresses, we'll come back to what he has earlier said. So I want to say it's a sad nation at 59. And that said, we have to look at a lot of things from a lot of angles, but I don't know where you are starting. I think it's with education also.
Education, absolutely.
So, it's a very, very sad situation for this country. Today, if you look at the education sector, education does not hold the value that it used to have. And, and this is a sector that when it fails, no other education, economy will fail, transportation will fail, agriculture will fail. Every other sector is going to fail, and that is why all the sectors are failing, because the foundation upon which all the other sectors are based is failing. So it's on its knees, almost on its knees. If you look at health right now, you go to the hospital, you complain. People are complaining of a lot of things, incompetence within our nurses. We have several nursing schools that are offering courses that are below the line, and these are people going to our public institutions. So people are always dying, out of negligence. People are dying out of a lot of factors. So what is causing that is the problem of the education system.
Absolutely.
Our economy has failed. No amount of good English or statistics will make us believe if it's working. Why is it working?
The particles will be out.
So the reason why the economy is failing is because education has failed. Our agriculture is dead. In Jawara style, we know how agriculture used to be. So, but now, that's why then they used to say agriculture is the backbone of this country. It's no longer the backbone. All right? So it used to be the backbone because education has catered for it. People are going to school to study, and then when they are done, they go and practicalize it. Agriculture, but today, if the agriculture sector has the highest number of PhDs, the masters, but it has failed. So all other sectors are going to continue to fail, and the country itself is going to fail when we do not look at education. Now, how much are these people investing in education? They will talk about millions and then say education is giving a lot of money. There is what is called educational administration. You talk about educational development, and there are a lot of components in education. So if you give them a few millions and you think it's going to work, it is not working. Today, because of the problem of education, you have a lot of people who are dropouts. People are going to school, and then all of a sudden, you have a youth population that is idle. They solely depend on betting and all of that, chanting and all of that, so that and that overpowers education. And why is that happening? Because today education doesn't matter. For as long as you have someone who is a permanent secretary, who is a minister, who is a director somewhere, you can easily travel.
Absolutely.
You can easily have a job. At the detriment of someone who is going to university,
absolutely.
who has gone to university, who has gone to the government college. So people no longer see the value that education used to hold. So therefore, you can always sit down, whatever that you want, because you have someone there. You are simply connected. You can simply travel for masters, for bachelors, for PhDs, even when you have no papers and all of that. We have seen that in this country.
Absolutely.
If you look at the condition of teachers and the education workers in this country, it's really sad. You take teachers to school, you ask them to be there for double shift, you paying them pittance, and you expect to have an outcome that will benefit this country. So these are some of the factors that we need to look at. So, but generally, education is failing if it has not failed already. So, as a result, it's going to have an impact on all other sectors that we have in this country, because any other sector that stems from education. Because even the agriculturists, whatever, the nurses, whatever that you talk about, all stems from education. So, if you go to traffic, you have a lot of indiscipline in our traffic. What is causing that? Because of the mindset. All right. So, and it's the education that should work on some of those things. So our development is going to continue to retard if we don't work on education, because at the end, our education system is producing engineers that cannot make roads. So we have people from outside, from I forget the Senegalese company. So these are the people coming, and our University of the Gambia is producing engineers. Why are they not making our roads?
Sad.
So that tells how we value education, or we do not value education. So there's a more that we need to do when it comes to that area.
Interesting. I mean, there is much needed to be done to ensure that, I mean, the Gambia, I mean, uplift or the Gambia move forward. So, Mr. Sidibe, what is your take? I mean, as Kudubo and Omar, I mean, delve into the to the education aspect. So, what do you also think? I mean, or how far is Gambia in the education aspect since 1965?
Thank you so very much. It's an honor to be here. First and foremost, I want to cast my mind back and I want to recall since independence, this happened in registered on 18 February 1965, officially. If you look at Gambia's independence, I'm going to agree with them in some points, and some points I would disagree. Now, let us look at this, the independence as alluded by Omar, that it should be called Founding Fathers Day instead of it being called independence. Yeah, it depends on the school of thought that you belong. Because if you look at those people when they were seeking for the independence, or when they were seeking the independence, they were doing it on behalf of Gambians. So therefore, I think it is better for us to maintain that name for it to be called independence, because it is not only their day. It belongs to all Gambians. Now, let me talk about Sir Dawda and Edward Francis Small and why I think this day should be celebrated for remembrance to those people, especially whom we considered as our founding fathers. Now, if you look at Sir Dawda, there are a lot of things that we can learn from Sir Dawda, and some of those things, we should use those things as reference. We should use him as a learning curve, especially to our Gambian politicians. History tells us that Sir Dawda had a chance. He was given that chance to claim British citizenship, but he renounced it for the Gambia. This was a time that, Gambia was not the best country that somebody would love to, claim its citizenship. Imagine if it were some of us here, we would have claimed that citizenship. But Sir Dawda was given that chance to claim British citizenship, but he renounced it for the Gambia. One. Secondly, at a time when Gambia, many people consider, or they call Gambia as an improbable nation, like a nation that might not be or could not, or they believe that Gambia will not be able to steer its own affairs. They did not believe, that is the British, that the Gambia would be able to paddle its own canoe. But Sir Dawda surprised everybody. He was able to make sure things, went on the right track, even though he had hitches here and there, because I believe everybody has his own cockroaches. They all have their own weaknesses. Now, far from that, still now I'm talking about why I think we should remember these people. And I'm using Sir Dawda, his attributes, those attributes that he possessed. What can we learn from those things? Okay? Now, from that point, the same Sir Dawda, Senegambia, the British had wanted to match the Gambia and Senegal for it to become a country, because as I said, they thought the Gambia would not be able to steer its own affairs. But Sir Dawda said, that would not be at the interest of Gambians. Gambians will always be underrated, and it will be just like the tail of the dog, while the Senegal will remain the lion. And we don't want that. Okay? We have our independence, the likes of Sir Dawda, the likes of Edward Francis Small, who is rarely talked about. And historians should write more about this great man. Because for me, we call him the doyen of Gambian politics. So with all these things, these attributes that we learn from Sir Dawda, are our politicians practicing? Are they learning from the nationalistic point of Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara? This is very important. Because some of us, our problem is, we have different mindset about politics. Just like Michael Walzer once said, he was an American political thinker. He said he wrote his 1973 essay, and the title of that essay is Political Action, the Problem of Dirty Hands. That is Political Action, the Problem of Dirty Hands. And in that essay, he argued that, politicians often do bad to achieve good. And this is what we are facing right now in this country. People are ready to do anything. As long as they would be employed, or they will be supported, they will get that financial benefit from that person. Whichever camp that person belongs, they don't care. So they are ready to do anything to satisfy their own self-interest. And this one is a big problem for this country. We need to remember these great people. What nationalism meant, what nationalism meant for those people, and what those nationality mean for us. For me, I think these are two different things, because what those people fought for, the struggles that they went through, and if they were about to come back, I'm talking about hypothetical situation. We know they will not come back, but if they were about to come back, or if they were to come back here, my brother, tears will roll down in their eyes, because the Gambia that they fought for is not. They will go back. It's not the Gambia that we see right now. So there are a lot of things that we need to think about. We can celebrate them partially. Okay, we can celebrate them partially because of their effort, and also if you look at the country, at least we are able to use our own currency. Before, we were using the pound sterling. All right, so we are using our own currency. That's an achievement. We have our own state institutions like the military. We have military that is ready to fight any external aggression. That's a state institution. We have a police. So we are doing some of our things on our own affairs, even though they are not to the satisfaction. It's not the Gambia that we all want. So many problems, so many horrors are happening in this country. So I'll take a pause here until when you have questions or follow-up questions, I can go ahead.
Interesting moment. Mohammed said, if those founding fathers who are to come back today, tears will roll. And absolutely, that's right. There are so many problems going on. But with those problems here, you hear them today, and of course, they'll give you remedies to those problems. So, Omar and Kudugo, Omar, what do you think now on our education sector? Hence, you've, discussed, or you've, stated that the first problem is our education sector. So, what do you think should be done? To ensure that, the Gambia move forward? Because 59 years now, still, education is a problem in this country.
Right. Thank you very much. I would like to say this in our native languages for the benefit of those that cannot speak the Queen's language. So Assalamu alaikum. Ibrahim abaraka bakela nyen karo kuma da babel. Saylang ala nyen karo min bi amin fani angale ko na wala tol nyanta ka minege min nyanta ka taraji min bati na ko karamundal to mi alon ko wolle be lola na banko e ka je ko ni banko lafta min na way taraji follow akuma ya badal pro moy ni long wala banku dia la longo bakara wala bala andung be yalla nako banku dia mun sembol ndam banku dingol di otamo la nga sembol so na banko ka bari sanye nyinin karoke fo na mol karandi la banku dia la karamol la ba aka kala ba just recently la nga ko ye civic education introduced in senior schools. Civic education naka commence na hani nursery school or even kindergarten. Let them start knowing muna nyanta ka kabri to lo jama wodindi ya jama. So ni ya commence wokera ye civic educational rundown. Nakara wolkera nung kabring 59 years ago, then the country will have been something else today. But in Gamodol the Mianko world, they are serving in our public offices. Some of them do not even know what they are doing. Yamalo mine CJ. Yamalo mine nyanta ka keje. Ito lab lodu la mene de la taman bir nan mene but sa ndani wobe kala ngaje ko adda akuma ya bada la puru man takunda ning ila dinyo mali e bulodu nyole ye ya kata ye civic education mi yanon ko aka mol karandi la nanto la banko dingol ya samana hani kindergarten level lo banko dingol ya karan kabiri bodo yari mato minna ina eta upper basic school eta senior school eta secondary school or even university level no but aja akuma ya bada la puru nim banko moye mol karande fenna mi yalan passé nafa nda bala fa wara bata nim banko kay ning dola educational system o ya simple 59 years ago ya simple ko you have to be job seekers not job creators nda bala fa wara bata ngamol to nim banko kan mi yalan ko kabir man sokunda e tong wol ndol be la da ko mi wol karanta bol buka dogu keno foka sile sai ka manso kunna bata na do ko dire ajarta wol yela fang yela integrity wa fi manso kunna ma no it's not a laughing issue amanga jela ko it's serious so khairen de ko educational system woni nyanda ka falin yemol karandi kula mi yalon ko ase na fano sama what is happening kunun ko I was at the national dialogue they were talking about ebe num diam kamina wala youth empowerment president be siring min ka amam nyim banko ka fanyim banko mo kabindal man daga mezo siran sifar dal ba mana dina o man raka ke e ke fo nyinin ka wala muna tinna o mantara ke ka so na karamunda nyanda ka falinne ye mecho ta ya dundi na karambungol kono.
But Echo now, the ministry said they're empowering what they call TVET education. So, don't you think this is a way forward?
Yes, that is a plus. Maybe nsafono ya simfada among full pharmacy akuntuma. And saying TVET education better at the senior level also. But saying further dinwal karino mecho la ila primary school or the nursery school or the dinwal le church or whatever. E kan banko de miyanko mo killing e kay subject konon ke subject konon e kay woke e kay maths ke english ke science ke integrated studies ke or whatsoever konon da killing among specialized no
Kungiling.
so abakol ya balar pour nga na karamol to miyanko laftal pour wala trawal nyam no sifa mom kali kabiri mo dinding e ka maybe a lafta ka ganyene I specialize woka maybe a subject for like or saba or area. Bari sa ngito ko mo kile subject konon take wala subject tan eta karamundol to subject tan ningkile mo kile andi ka wol be so do credit adi easy la wodi kala no ase e ko sa dia nyaawo nyaa e bo dol felle bari sa ng fondo la man to kunda e o tifal tal no bang ya kenna because coming oncle ya fa dame e ko University of the Gambia ka engineering ka bari kabiri ba Senegambia highway de daka the turntable highway that away e ye contract nyum gameno le bam fama ka gameno e kam minute je wala indian wala Chinese even the University of the Gambia mi anon ko university dini wala nyanda ka karanje indian le bo school ni lo abala fa warte sayiti ko 59 years of independence ite mo na so no nyum banko ke nyanda ka mi celebrate all for coming ka foka nga independence celebrate it's not bad. But saying it when so munya no min jarra ka celebrate. Minnesota. Ni banko e Minnesota. Ni banko mi ango ala baluo memba ni banko ka. Abe wandi mol lebul. Bang mol mi ango e man kan ni banko ni. Ngene nga fa nene sara dan la dala no. Nene ne kile jafan. Sara dan la de bunyolo no khatu bulo min ka diro ke wol fi sara bulo min ka taro. Ala fanga wala fo min ka diro ko wol fi sar min ka taro ke sanga kuma badal pour ngati ko ni mol karandi wo metol la o dulal to wo bati nal ko no kol dol be talala de lon sol dol tala no wala de grand sol dol tala no kantu dandi mol tala na mol be mechanism sol na fe la nyal mi nyalan ko wol bo wol tala ko ko nyinta ka remedi pero sai fo la ba kerimba so ma fa man sakunda e ko ya kata nyaaw kata nyaama ye mol karandi la nyanto la kabiri dindi karamol do na sidulal to na taradulal to akuma ya bara musol ni dinol ka bata ba ke ni banko ga kilo se kan ni nyaawna ni tara bir ka marcero wala sere na marcero ba musol de la dino ba ko jeba tara ko wala kek aba wa be ka motilo kan re nya fena mo mo laf ke la bu nyaw ko ya mo laf ko mo dol boran famara am bo man la fa di ngare ta kar mun ken do we were talking about education. But enough for Ministry of Education, both basic and secondary education or higher education. Well, dingon man taka karani karamawal. I can get that for free. Well, dingon man taka karanja. But say muna tina well dingon man taka karan. Come ye educational system wala na fe miyalon ko a mantol shoot. Andi tol man la fi dingon le bata ko bata nya bata gol memin ko. Kunun ko ami boden si so ko lota dulal tala ko. Model, they are born with a silver spoon. They are from a humble background. And the mobe de karano samado gula.
So walang
ko tol mi ang ko famu samado go. Well na ka samado gula la fa dunya ba. What I mean? Uncle Yavajan, agriculture used to be the backbone. And agriculture ka kudo mi fonso every year national budget ministry bukaso. But Ministry of Agriculture kami nakabandu. Kung kula jabanyo. Kung kula jabanyo. Kung ko tije, kung ko mantra banjul, kung ko be dame Ministry of Agriculture nyanda kara wolto. Ay tasi jakal pata. Ay tasi je. Na wulta somanda nyaka musul la faro jakela bataja banal ko nyinni nyanda kat. In as much as sometimes man manda benna kan kilin ko jawra, but food self-sufficiency. Last time there are two types of development. You have self-sufficient and self-reliant. Say antola nyimbanko be munetaka nyimfulor ko. Are we going with self-sufficient or we are going with self-reliance? San kilimandra kata, san kubi daka nyadi le. Banko buka doku no londo koma. Foma sakundaye londo invest mol kono. Londo miya ngwase banko mol nafa. Bare.
4 months of Londo, I mean, first invest Londo, more from your but I no sell, I want to come for it. I mean, education and empowerment, and of course, I mean, TV education and all other education, I mean, that should be started from primary school level. In fact, at ECD level, to equip, I mean, these, I mean, children, so they will be, I mean, a great individual in the future for our way forward. I mean, saying that for over 59 years, I mean, things are just, I mean, we are just, let me just keep there. So, understand? Okay.
Like, nina bank wala diamu dati. Kung mo fly bem push kan saga. Kakam fala bari kabu mo diamu tong content about. Content about because tajin de ka fem fo umari afol. And I'm happy that coming namu je ndala jang me alanko nala mirinya beki. So ka mur ko mo kotake dawral fanala ning karambunda fanala beren bolu. Ade ñini ngaro ke sa mo sa kina. So kabin jawra mo jama ko no nim mo be ñoo sabola aka wol fo ñako jawra ma kata beren mang fanne mo la en question lo karo karam la bunda karo nga ko jawra e menke kabanata karamu man sia to nya bongo fo resource je tam pour ka man sa ko na dugulal fo job ka kena ko manam bawul so jawra o be kato ko la e karamu den ton bijan wol karamu wol ka karam keno ni bole je fana jawra da moneke aning top university mi an ko be Angleterre I only not nan jang little kabo nan di every year sankon ikana jang especially in the summer samakon ikana de kafa university essential program UEP jawro program mo start janne o program mo nyum wole university of the Gambia wulu so kabin jamenata jamme ya lam ko this is a very good program lecturer binaka hani wa taban adara fo university of the Gambia lo wo continue de ka happen mo flo mi yan ko karanta ji mo sabal ñu kata modol wol foy benefit wo UEP la fana ka ton university of the Gambia so kada ada jami fana rabul kono wala university la karani folo ada jami fana tarawol ko so kaje ko dar fana sunu bijele jaro min la karamal fana handa tra musal fi amang war bari ning masakunda donat masakunda process let do ñu ka continue la ka bo so ka murnang education lando bunda fana umare me ko dul man rafen karanga gana bi ñu stand fan mi kajete ñu fana men ka frifil membe lore e ka dela wol fani ka dela and slim fani ka dala Ghana electrical appliances ol ni socket ol ni finkol Ghana ka dala because ila karam bundale karandala pour isa dala gambe jam bi han kan yuntu ka dala e ka je e ka solo pro nawet ni la jare dul tinyat nawet engineer balde bi de mi ko karanda university balde to you know wala e cool bi ke bari buka man buka dala
New question.
So we ka je le non dul solo fem fenna fo wasnana buka dala bi ko education system na karam bundani to wala adiranye kabri bi jawaro mon fansot no yadira mun kam man ya dinna pour ni la ñomu sonya e mansa dingol ning doli ke samba ke karandi baje la ñomu sonya baje isa marano sonya ring ni tata ila traveling commission ni tamara blog ni tara ji sa motra ji ni manka diam so ya dinna wala kam but ibrahim ibalo nako ani ko wara ka fako general orders gambia general orders mi ko tubabu la dinna hansa wala biti ye e kam ko alquran ma di wala bible ma men ko may ne ka do you know ko billahi wallahi tana wo general orders kono nati je ko hansa bi je ko ning tita beta karam baskulo babula ning baskulo kata ay kayro sur baskulo ni naka baskulo amanzela tatira dal tasam yene ko dia up to date rent hours melan ko abeji will be do be 250 lam kemi fatalul wala kemi lul lam wala kemi wor melan ko tamu laso be jende sabu nyadi na education system ya tuté nyame abolo nya yey ñi nka menna na ta tibet la fanna pour ñu bol makal ko den ka karamu to ñala natale staff la melan ko idea is good man bari the implementation will be the problem because right now as I'm speaking then there are some school but school for they are not even equipped with equipment with trained person teachers la pour ko kenu imagine in the next 10-15 years billahi wallahi the school la mo pour que bonna banda pour kana ko bloquer mo li be kenu lo find near education system mo is serious about it but the idea is good about the education policy 2016-2030 what ka jibe ni na jibe ni ko ya ba eka what balji come 2016 when as hantem education system now we are in the court say we planning in the court and bola konte say jamal tamit bari fem men kete ja down ya ba demban ñu la tibé sotu to ñalam kan la ñu kata la ko tam bari ube mun kika anu wala tibit fanam fanga sa ye umare ko sai mbe ma ko la jambe tibit lole ni karmi jini pare tan be nangam dila ita ka sinon de ka pinda wala ebe entrepreneurship kala mbe e ka cikino poultry dat ita ye lansino di indian wala e ka ko wala lebanese ka ko e fanko import na kitino sai umata wasanna
Asana.
so masakuna ko sifal ke na ye on mai so ka jele ko disa ismail ko abe mu karambu na ko fon sa faham mel faram ko ko no ya faham so civic education karola pour banko dungli la banko dialon umare diamu folo la dubola maje wala tan bismaka because umare ko mo be bandisa so civic education to nya abe da pour banko dungli yalon mun banko di yati we le semboti ani la nyenta kamen ke kunu ngombe ngafara baake mbon ko lay dita school na mo jaay to dum ra fay wunya so because these are problems me alanko dal dal ko mo ja kana mo ko na ka fengo fay siloka e ke ba projet me alanko akelo ba fato ba ako si fal so ni no ke na banko kanu ronda mo ni dara nyaat ila mindset education londo bunda ile wole do ko ronda be they are the fastest growing economy Africa ko ila ko fanko le be yiwa ka modbi ronda ko be hani la gotas ila jibor silo mo ka si jak akino do nya wole maya dara si je pour ka mo la haw ronda be scenario nya la si ta je akino do moje so ila traffico ni blota ko no eka jagal silo bebe scenario abe cleaning mol bebe ke guring baka pipo moy in wanda ko ndel jam kulu bala men na traffic ko na sembo ta back
Absolutely.
mol be ko sifa be jam because of the mindset because the karam bunda so mol ka memfo civic education abedat bar ni na di ka samba senior school senior school wonte yenda ka samba to di formative age no ni be menka hakilo be fagi do ka waram ya dum di ko baji in next 15 years be gambia demol sotlo mi ko ni bonko jarale bari bi ndanite ni nak jël so jël mi yalan ko ye 10 million lay over something na ku la mi yalan ko praji ndole ne so ni ata man jëlé tamari ite be banko ba fal ngom mo be wol o mindset le bentul be ko say pour ye fenna mi yalan ka ni ka wogle ni ka sama de fumi def di ñu la yakaran ba ni ka tagge sutu in 10 15 years c'est fait mi yalan ko metti yaw be jam fakan bari comme kontaan from walang mo ko Umar I'm very happy so men dan na jang because then from Umar
Absolutely. So, Mr. Sidibe, I mean, Omar and Kudugo, I mean, have already delved into the matter of like, I mean, the way forward of having, I mean, schools, and not only having the schools, but having, I mean, plans put in place to ensure that, I mean, these things, I mean, are things of the past now. So now, to shift from the educational, I mean, sector. Now, Mr. Sidibe, what do you have to say in our economic, I mean, aspect since, I mean, 1965?
Anyways, I wanted to comment on education.
Okay, absolutely, you might do that
before I answer the question.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's good to air our views, and it's also good to listen to one another. You know, even though you would not like what you listen, because great people or great leaders are those that listen to things that they do not want to hear, not only things that are pleasing to the ear. And Omar mentioned something very important, that is civic education to be employed in our school system, and that it is even employed, but only the senior secondary level. This should have been done earlier, in fact, even at primary school also, very important. But if you look at that civic education also, to learn and to implement, these are two different things. What I observe in my simplistic thinking or in my simplistic observation is Gambians, we learn a lot, we read. What I mean, we read, I don't mean to read like avid readers, I mean, but we read. We tend to understand things, but to do things becomes problematic. We have people that even if you employ this civic education in our school system, they will not still do what is being taught at school system. And that is another problem. So for me, I think is the attitudinal change. We should not consider anything that is government is bad. For the fact that you hate that person doesn't mean anything that they do is bad. If they do something that is good, you should also acknowledge. All right? So, but here, if you speak the truth, sometimes even the government, they can even categorize you as an opposition or something. And they would isolate you because of speaking the truth. Now, if you lie, they'll promote you, they can fix you somewhere. You understand? All these are problems that we are facing. But for me, the educational sector, I want to see it differently. Because I always want to be impartial when I'm talking. Yes. For the educational sector, I see it as something that, is kind of promising. Let me put it that way. Because I'll never say we haven't learned anything. Yeah, because we have seen people, Gambians, that have been doing great job from international level. Most of these people, they pass through Gambian schools. I can give you names like, even Esafal, for example, he was a student, Gambia, it's St. Augustine. We have Peter Gomez, the list goes on. We have great Gambians who are doing things outside, okay, doctors and all those, they pass through our school system. So whatever, even doctors, yeah, so it is not entirely bad, okay? And I think for the school system, what we need to do is we need to practice things. Whatever is learned, let us implement. If you see something, sometimes you'll be teaching, a student will be eating something and they'll drop something. And there is dustbin somewhere. If we learn what it means to be nationalistic or what it means to be patriotic, if you are done with something, you should pick it. You go and put it at the dustbin. Nobody should tell you this is wrong, this is bad. But we are behaving the way that we feel, even though we know this is bad. So this would be my comment for the educational section, that it is not entirely bad, but again, there are a lot of things that we need to do.
Absolutely.
Yes. And what was the other
For the economic aspect now, I mean, our economic, standard since 1965. So what do you have to say about our economy? Is it promising? Or, is there any changes from Jawara's regime to Jammeh's regime down to, our current regime now?
I'm a young guy, but, I read a lot anyways. Yeah, I read Jawara because I know I was not, I did not witness anything about Jawara's regime, but I read something about it. Now, history tells us that Jawara's time was very good. At the time when Dalasi was equal to a pound, we were told about that. $1, $1, $1, £1. That was the exchange rate. Jawara's time, so many things were good. These basic commodities were very cheap. Survival, especially for basic commodities, was not a problem. Now, Jammeh came in, Jammeh accused Jawara of corruption, tribalism, and other things. My problem is Jammeh became what he condemned.
Absolutely.
Yes, about this tribalism, corruption, because there was official findings and it was confirmed that Jammeh also was involved in corrupt practices and his accomplices. All right? The same trend continues before Barrow steps in. He had been condemning Mr. Jammeh. That, Jammeh is a bad leader, this and that, corruption here and there. And we are all witnessing what is happening. There are some radical commentators, they say, in fact, the degree of corruption right now outweighs the former regimes, both Jammeh's regime as well as Jawara's regime. So you see the problem. Why is it that our attitude, or our real attitude, changes when we get to that house, state house? What is the problem? Barrow came from humble beginning, from my region, Upper River region. But so many things are happening. As a leader, you have to stand firm. Speak the right thing, even though they will not cherish it, they will not appreciate it. If something is wrong, even though the person is your closest friend, you have to tell the person the truth.
Absolutely.
So the economic level for me, I see it as it is, in fact, it's not realistic. Because every time you hear economic minister say Gambia's GDP has improved from so percent to so percent, is this realistic? This is my problem. We are struggling. Bag of rice every day, or every month, over time, this keeps increasing. Okay? The price of basic commodities, they keep increasing. And you are telling me GDP has increased. What type of economy is that? So these are the things that we need to understand. Is it the type of economy that they were taught? Because for me, if you say something is improving, it should reflect on the ordinary citizen. But if that's not reflecting, what is the essence of that improvement here and there? So that's why for me, this GDP here and there is not reflecting on our daily survival. We are still struggling. You have to go in the streets, just like alluded by my colleague here, to see how people are struggling. You have to just go to the streets, go to the markets. That's the time, really, people are struggling in this country. And I think the best way to do this, we also need to change our attitudes, because what I observe, most Gambians, we become muted when we are empowered. Like right now I'm talking, God forbid, I don't know, because I can only talk about the present, the future I don't know. But sometimes when I'm employed, when I'm empowered, if I'm not somebody who is morally strong, then all these things that I've been talking, I'll stop talking. Then I'll join the team. Whatever they do is good now, because now I'm empowered. Now I have been given that opportunity to claim a particular role that I feel is far better than what I used to be. So I think what we need to do when somebody is doing something wrong or when something is wrong, we should all come out and condemn it. It is not good to keep quiet. To keep quiet will never take any country anywhere. We have to talk and we react. We make sure our actions are in consonance with our words. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, critics will say that in this country, the people who are capable of changing things are the people who join. I mean, the bandwagon of people who are just, stopping this country. They're not even trying to, but they are stopping the country from progressing at most times. So that is a concern. And what you mentioned most is very important. That is like our attitudes. We have to change our attitudes. We have to be realistic on for what we mean. What we are saying, do we really mean what we are saying? It's quite important. So I think we also have to put this thing in place to know that not only what we are saying, but what we are saying, do you really mean it? You, the person saying it. So now, Omar, coming back to you again, regarding the economic, condition of this country. Critics will say that, having loan, or there's no country on earth that doesn't have what they call, bilateral relation with other countries. So now, Gambia realizing that we really or mostly depend, on loans from other countries. Do you think this is affecting our country?
All right, thank you very much. I would still like to go on with the local language.
It's okay.
So Barakabake, Abalfa wata bakele Ibrahim ko nga fami nyame. Ndol ngam fo je jaman la ko jamano mi yalon ko nga fami nyame rek fo nene sara dan la jarame ko nyawlo. Yes, it's not bad. Every country, that is why we are living in a so-called global world. They said it's a global village. So they said we cannot go without each other. So we have to interact. So funga normal. But the problem is taking loans and grants might not be bad, but solely depending on it. Solely depending on loans. Committee is saying yela balwota yalo lik dani rolka. Committee funding cable bombarding. Persona dogo kala doko ebe jikila molle la pour yeso ko la pour yabalu karen lal ko ete fa wadi tela kan wi ete mala feka balu holle tan ni la fa wadi tela sani na ka jibe ngani banko la economy jibe from 1965 today kabiring jamena barona jawara nata in power in 1965 you can understand ko ni banko mi an ko tamo na fulo man tiam bari banko mol kontante la banko kan ye domoro so e jare ken ya so bari sign mom jawara ka loan tala for 30 years aba loan tala but the loan debt of the country was 3 million loan debt German at 44 million. Right now we are talking about 104
billion.
Not even million, but billion.
Yes, 104
billion.
Serious.
Yes. Nimbango loan debt ball to science. Coming CDB Avaname, we are always talking about Bankola GDP. Abenadi, what the Ministry of Finance been a kafuda. Right now, the bag of rice, money bottle sign is 2,000 Gambian dollars. Money bottle, low manna. If I'm on low manna, how much are you paying an ordinary teacher? But you can teach Jojela. Now, Siada is $5,000. Now, Siada.
Guru is laughing.
Yeah, but that is the fact. $5,000 you can't go well. So 5,000
but the government came sometime in 2021 that I think there is some percentage that has been. I think salary increment. So I think there was a benefit from
the
that.
issue of salary increase, what if one janda kabo? Salary increase, ya tax lafa, ya salary lafa. Coming abu you are just nothing is changing.
Plus one minus.
Yeah, you plus one minus one. You have one body day. You killing lafa. Coming, I'm killing it. So I can move into 5,000. I can man borrow some 2,000. Maybe I to lose some. Muso babul, dingol babul, nanda kara school, dingol nanda kadomoro kere nanda ka famol dun. When need to be function lano ero banko ka. So Nyimbanko economy from 1965, saying afono from 2016 to now. Nyimbanko instead of Itana, it's going back. banku bukatano nafulo ko ma o mo fo hadama di fo bukatano ko nafulo ko ye nafulo so you have to be financially strong to do certain things but sang banku mi alon ko wo kala da tala wala nan ko daniro labon fo na jawya gameno lela jawya da sang daniro man amon ku kenen intol la daniro ba gameno batande kan abe foare ande kan kule ita fo ko gambie ba so dal mi alon ko lo ye dulado so mi anan ko jisela ita fa lañu ko wadam nga wo fon ma nyim banko samano fala takal ke nyame man sakunda be jar abjar man sakunda lay lantino di molla tani sol outside na ye bade mo kan na bal kono enin na nyele ta ya kana sardino ni bar ya murni na banko kan ni paranga sangi bulu ko di ba sardino sangi sangi jol $40 so $50 nyebe la ba sardin nye kile nyo kundu ni ko le iko yasang dal sa talul mini ho sabu mini ho no fu bakan gambe no fo be mira ba e wo bebe tabul but hani saying you are poor Gambia is not poor but you ask yourself ye fo nyi nga gambe mo ba munat na Gambia no fare yata fa gambe no wala dal en tijan membe karamo ngota be they all want to ride their own cars e be lafta ka live in a dignified life but ngani fonum kunum if there is no justice for the people let there be no peace for the government nim banko mol man e fon soto ne la banko government kana kairo de nim banko man ngol kamem fo bataro yalla wala siara ni banko andum fon way address ka de ko mi an ko wala be ke kan ni banko kan way bulaje mo kana wolke ni banko la nafulo mu mol banko la nafulo mu banko betal bari sandol ka de ko banko la nafulo mu mol le ka ta la no tem national cake la national cake everybody has a share mo bele share so de but sa mo nak ne ka modol nek le mini ati ne ka modol nek lek sa wol ba ko cake share ni sot pedam rol ma la share mo bele la ko share ni sot bari sanka moje mi an ko wol kara ka cake ni na tiri ko da bela kun ni banko is solely tax dependent apart from loans and grants na mol mbamal ka kodomi job man saya ni banko ka baluwal sanka kodomi job kana kan baluwa kodo fama am folo kodo ngadi lam ko yamutan the last program I said it here there are reasons kulat na mulka election wat kula ya sabu mulka da karre fayo e ka karre fayo kula kam wala nsan benna rad soldol tala nyen sorene ya left for security development and stuff like that sanda kat namojo mansala na mbokatu mola ni sama bande ba mansala do kula jala jala satel ko be namo kolek fofo mbuka mansama luba ebe namo kolek kamimbul in sarf ya murundi kan yeba murundi wol ma fa ko na nan sa ninga na fulo munjo wala ninga namo munjo yana yadi mulla ko do ko ya falling aning development wala nan ka namojo.
So what are the problems?
The problem is mansala not patriotic enough to na for money. It had meta na fulo la e man la fi banko di wala left the puritol da mala na to tala banko mo le foare ko di tiol beta kan wol bako do so kan ala lu ngol ya getting rich wala ko di so to yabe obe kafuka foaro la foare abu mun kan ko male ala lu ngol wol bo foare ya kan ala lu ngol ndaka samara do ko sai for instance ngati sama deport na julo famba manta anu ndaka balu wala sanda balu nyadi ndaba do mo kala nyadi at least no tiyo famba mbulu na so kono so teno nga ko do at least ngan kono bar sa nga samal ngadi mantala ngay ko natiyo fele sa nga sang man se natiyo tambulu aya mabo amana ko do din sanda balu nyadi ala lu ngolum state house ko 150,000 nadam ala lu ngolo hani bindol wen kata ni baro wada independence la nara $150,000 wala ka bo state house ni tara the ordinary Gambian share $30 $30 dol ko wala ka nawlo
Let's unbelievable. Imavo.
dol bi de wol tara foy fara wala mo $150,000 dom saya muna atina man sakan dol jawya muna atina amman san yin ka wala muna atina kamol jawya fanga ka refa wala kam sila nintol fana laftante ka refa la madaram fangol lebul na fa ko sign ndol fana ka ko do min dogu mba dun lam fangol la ko nanta na mo jo wala na there is a school of thought min la ko ako taxation is a theft, it's a state theft mol man na kana mo jo sometimes atara fa what don't gafta fa nga fa level do mi angon kala fa law school of thought ko sa mol man na kana mo jo kan kana mo jo kula kam ban kana mo jo mo kana mo jo na fa de
I think, in fact, that was one of the slogans for AF Small, no taxation
without any proper representation. So I can't go covering
No taxation without development.
yeah,
Absolutely.
no taxation without development, or even proper representation. We are not properly represented.
Oh, you don't blame. Follow the money.
Yeah. So what I'm going to go, even that Mfawala Mole are not giving us what we deserve. So still we are not properly represented. What type of representation are we receiving now?
So we could represent.
You ask yourself that question. If I can refer deputy,
Okay.
if I can have from where time you bang, and then more job loading deputy bonga ko ndira mol banyim marana. So I can refer na vale.
Someone
Deputy be jumping from one political party ko nakara ito na flow le siwa bla. Ku killing mo nanda ka understand ko. Kule ya sabu mbetaka nyindula ko. Anong kule ya sabu mbasire nyindula. Ndol be na da jambi nga na hajo bula ci taja. Kula tina. Deputy fana ka kule bula kuye e kara National Assembly you are there for a reason. Ila mol dafta minna wala ke. Bari mol deputy ya muda kubale. Mo manke di na manke la kama kula. They are your servants. Akan jaga langkan yung bangko mo di ka man sa lugar ma way ni ken. Ika dali me. Ko mi science nga kurla sama nan jangka ko. Ekal kuro ken. Pamba fla lugar mbal. Afla kuro ken nga na fangol dung nanu da nga diala ku nga do. Wala ati na man sanol benye ding. Ike order them to do certain things for you, not certain things, everything that they
and then still that would reflect on our education.
on our education.
We don't know our rights.
Wala nang
and of course,
I will sometimes disagree that with Sidibe, the mindset that you are talking about should be saved at the younger generation.
Education is okay.
The mindset that we are talking coming more than the attitude falling. Attitude falling at your younger generation. Don't with the time we do not have certain things. Coming to civic education not in nursery school. Eba dol jela in prep science form. I can tell you this for free. More jela national plan no. You can go to primary school, you ask them.
Ministers, not even primary school. Ministers, ask ministers. Ministers, ask ministers. Ask ministers.
That is the reality on the ground. So that's what we moli alla banko la fanko tamana na manka koma. To fanga wolong na lonko nyim banko mumbele tati. Manse alonko nyim banko bitata ngani namu jola la kodol. Namu jola nung jumale sama do kulal.
Thank you, Umar. That's no time. Moving on to Mr. Sane. Any comment about our economic, our aspect from 1965 to date?
Be more money in Sindijan. So this should have been in the Kalamara program of Mr. Jambal. But on the back, and Kamurnang Bankola Fangola Fana. Fanko Mang Jamfaji, like economy so loyal. Kamu deke layman, kamu mang karam. So you can come confused with their terms and anything called. So, but the surface thing, I'm a trained journalist. So, don't ika fanyi purna ideas on any
Absolutely.
So na economy fan do mo kadam din sute no jilang karam. So, bangko la fan na niya jibe iku kabrin jawra time kanana. Kuma mo ria fanya me abawole nyama na da jilo la fan na. So na da bangko la kodula barakola. Ota mo kodu man sia, kuma mo ria fanya me barakat. That is loyal money ka £5 because what time pound killing CDB average and what time was killing pound killing so I don't find out only pound killing like a $1 So one that's the palm.
I am knowing this today.
Yeah.
I'm knowing this
So
today.
jawra yo katal but munat na kudu value maintain no fa nyen gawa. Kudu value maintain because Gambia fenel soto me alonko e ka bonni ja new kata o ka exchange rate ko bonkol fango yirwon la ka bonkol kudu barakat. Silvenu la basse they have a cotton genre.
Yes.
Avoid a fact that without jawra yo to empower to so much so that every year cotton make a harvest J, a process J, is still there.
Yeah,
The machines are still there.
It's not working.
It's not working.
Yeah, exactly.
Aka process jam, aka da. So no kata aka exchange rate foreign exchange. So bangkula kudu ka baraka, and kudu buka akum ka fair. So when you we bangkula fanko mako back at bangkula kudu sotiji, bangkula eka foreign exchange kan sotiji. So the ubeni ngi. Jawara da moneke faran tiyo la karo. Tiyo ka doku jende back fele mo dawe ka tiyo cash crop. Sai dame yenda ka tiyo bune cash crop ya.
Absolutely.
Jawara yo kele tiyo ka doku jende jama ba aka boni ga kana to global market kana dunia dawda. Umu banko ko di balet. Jawara yo wala kenu dama fo sai ala mansa kunna ba ko do ni pour ka don twabula ko kan dogo lanjo. Kudo barakata kebal ka ko kudo mansia kun ko ni mo ko non banjul akonyo ko wala force de ka bonen jar kana banyo akonyo ko 9 dollars 50 brut. Beres ko non to intala yoljo kana banyo. Aka do ko ke I 60 dollars tell what I also know that jara ko kema fa kira malam bal. Jawo.
Oh, even come by bread and
No, sir.
butter.
That was in the early 90s, 92 mil mafan kada mafan, 80 something. So muno sa biko kudo baraka because Gambia fitness ro miano ko kabondi. Ni no ko na ko ke ya fa ko okay bana na fa ngol ni be no. So ko ko na na bi ko do hani kabe wol be boy. Girugo no jibe. Ibanu jane be operation ke kany hani wa hanal musal fe la certain famol canal ko ka process jane ni abuni ya sama Senegal ni da dol. Munaka ke nyo kata. So iferanta foreign exchange de bangol ko do fan ka baraka ka balsu. Kabe girugo no be fa. Bi afanye game ka mo bondi ka men sam.
Sad, nothing absolutely.
Yo, mano na karol muka mano export bari muka mano import. So muka mano import bali ani wo minute ni wende ko sign na ko de molte yebla ka fa okay la ko mba fa na la na so because mano be jël dola jaar ñu doli ka mano do ko fa la mo ka tu ka bumu mo la bumu because muli mano ka do ko le but bi last halifa sala ka fa in parliament the tone of rice men kana banku kan jam every year out abuka bam so wala ka na ko do be tenten pour que ka fu ha ka dépousser value ni dépousser la all the time bi lorsque mo blend ko ta dum bi ko
Paso
ñu dala
Tani busumara.
aje muno sabu because man rafen the production level is zero alright umone balak mo fo jandi ite mira bal be gambe bu gambe bonko ni la do len ina serious konti banko sobe pour que jam fonta ka be pembe ti lo kana ma on ko ne kenu bi mi angon se dogo kenu dogo ke na mano sita afrika dawda kon daw sita kam mano di mi angon ko afrika banko le to ko safri bal wala ka ada dai kana mulan do kenu la baba mo bu ko la fa nyam job je mi angon ko gisel isa do ko ke yara so mana man kenu so ala kenu bala mun sabu na ko do do mi fangol ko kaza umata umar was out of the malaka arab so mana ko do la balu be jika because wala ko be sabu man rafen ko hani dol jang hani awla na di penselo hani muka fende dano muka fen pendin so they have a fengol ni bina je ba flan ko ba tet na tel so
The condition of how to
kan na ko la barako jindi c'est seno kenole bari man so be seno fanara sango sang ko do men kadi ay ko jila ka siale do nti balbi sa ko ni ni do de angle bal fo dimbango kan ka mo angle kam fo ko la fe man raja billah wala kan ndebo ko gamel news jibe
Akonya I will answer this squarely.
Ye news no mimna at the level of the government. Ye news jibe e ka you see this espace e bo moto fo ya fa ay ni londo karle soto na jam de ba ko hay gambe say
Yeah, friends. This man we
but angle kam ba fo ko la fenti da
absolutely.
so ni wala mambo me tentina la ka bata umari afnya mar bo don kunu sudo mo be mo wala ko jibe ga fanya kunu ko say man bo 2000 nka ko I said it ota mum lokum fula saba ko man ka fula ko su ngoro man man boto be lufla sida ad wala man boto da ji da so non because man fangumal kamendum o is 2500 3000 wala bay because last time do kan confirm ko that is happening so do fa recommendum sa go bi da kan 2000 so ngata min dole ko do bi ko do ser nyani ko do jamba ma mute fambu ina da dawda ni ku kilim fula ke do buka la ko nyame mol be lo mol ni do ro kala pour kalif ka dal so wala ka dal sa ko do buka so ni charge million la ni fam ko ya ikasila so yamal an honorary civil servant me anga dugol masakunda bukaju wardi mo bida fay ay fensodo pour ka fengol sam ka keno sam wala ka fudu wala ku kubul ki so banko la kolea na doku balea ani na pare balea ani na sobe balea wala na banko tisano nyaado babe mulja me alan ko sense ku keno ala je na atmosphere bi je me alan ko we have a sunny fengo atmosphere is so friendly that se fengo feng da doku ni ganul ka ila kabila jiji be weda be nyame ko ko nim fenduli ka doku ka fintin jenu sa han tentuli ki fintin ni ku gambe kam ne fintin
That's the question.
so wala be tenten na pour ka bata din na fango jawra be jawata min na comme kamuru no kandro nga fintin na ko barakata ko man siya barakata bi ko siya ta bar mo fintin so ko valo jite bi pano ning sakat dum je fakara fa edison editun la si so kata min dole bata be tenten na le inflation me ka ko ta mo man siya ko man siya nyona bari mo ko ku mal ke no ko la ko barakata ba sain ko siya ta fi mo ko ke no asro clair ko clair mo be wurka so comme na fa nyame drong pour to agree with Umar ka fa ko mom pare and then now pare balanya abe tentena and then adada karte fe ko kono so niya bi niutu ma fanji bala na ko gamme no fan la fa bata ko mbodole bari politician no kabila fa ka succeed to drong in talal ndede di bata kam face Umar ko face be ko face bar na jerinya ya yam fatane wol bi ni lor jam ko nyin so do waje ko okay abiyam kan ne abiyam fokan katun minat na bayim fokan so police no succeed tam pour kan ke wol yen tala be la batal mun clinity bar na jerinya about ul batal wol kili wol man kili ma sa ko na fa right na ko be enkem no kala awan so dolla I think it's transport o muneva
Transport and residential.
transport ni munat na manke even ni ga because banko fango mana ko fenke ke kuna central bank ni safaro ke yi angle kambal fuji naraka modul fana je yuta ka usaw ni ka ko sa banko la economy is doing well inflation no batala kan ni by this percent also kuna na wo ingame no manna because in reality nabije masakunda bila fa kulene ko move mole manna nabije manna ni mak by ko do intije because na skin rate ni nyame ani na di ko develop nyame a serious ba ken so kamala don in ko mi an ko be lafla ke fa ta ken because amantara je so ka mo ko don tara jero nyame na jero dam ko di ko because man rafenne produce ka me an ko ma fintin la so kamala don fa mo fen do ka do mo jam abe kana so kamala don atana fanko ni febulu so na fanko mandre akataka
Interesting. I mean, we are running out of time, but we have to deal with the topic. I mean, that is like, corruption. So, Mr. Sidibe, I mean, let's venture into corruption now. And then, critics will say this. I mean, how to call it? The corruption, stage in this country is just, crazy. It is, a day in, day out. And of course, in a broad daylight, corrupt people are, engaged, in corruption scandals and other things. So, what is really the problem behind this?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mbai, for that question. And this topic is passionate. I'm passionate about this because, as far as I'm concerned, it is our big problem, if not the biggest problem in this country. Now, if you look at corruption, I was disappointed to hear from the most powerful man in our country, by constitution, that is the president, describing the audit report as an opinion. You understand? If a president describes audit report, how audit reports are valid in other countries, these are men of high caliber, like trusted men of integrity. Now, this audit report, they have their own principles and all those things. So when that report is out, that audit report is there to help you as a president, as a leader. But you are calling it a mere opinion. For me, to hear that statement from the president has set the stage, or even set the stage, for all these problems that we are seeing. That's why corruption has now become a culture, a way of life to so many Gambians. People do things because they feel like whatever you do, nothing will happen. I'm going to use my own base, for example, our area council. You've been following, there is another commission.
The local government commission.
It hurts me a lot to see only few people, withdrawing money from one account to another.
Without following due protocols.
Without following due protocols. You think you are dealing with uneducated people, you are dealing with people that do not know anything. The way they behave, you look at Brikama again, that guy. All these things are happening. And every now and then, we hear corrupt scandal. Gambia Force of Authority. So many things. And my problem is, when this corruption is revealed, we always have what we call spin doctors, like those who always want to gloss over information. Like, if something is like this, they'll always bring, as you said, and they'll come back. We have a lot of them here. Even when something is wrong, to accept that this is wrong or this is how it happened, they'll come using rhetoric. This is like this, it happened because they'll be giving us international standard. What is international standard? Is it not a concept? In fact, to say something is international, for me, I consider it as a concept. What might be right might not be right to another person. So this is a big problem. And we have a lot of them, spin doctors. So this is wrong, but they will always try to make the information nice, try to fool, especially gullible ones. We also have a lot of people that are easily deceived in this country. You say one or two things, yeah. Now, right now, we are struggling. Just wait when election is due. They'll come with elephant projects. They will start the construction and all those things.
Stone lay, is it stone lay what? Markets, construction of markets and all that stuff.
Exactly. And imagine when they start that one, you easily forget. Hey, Baro is like that. You give them few, they forget about everything. We are struggling because we voted for this guy. We said we need second term. Some of us, God knows, I voted for Khalifa. Yes, I can say it here publicly. But when I drop my Bible, the ballot drop, you can feel, or you could feel at that time that only few voted for Khalifa. And you hear everybody say, Khalifa is good, he's educated, he knows what to do. But they will not vote for you. What is our problem there? Then this one is good, he has this stuff, you are not ready to vote for that person. And we are struggling, we will still keep crying. So corruption for me, I think it's a big, big problem in this country. And it's all down to honesty. Honesty. Because if you look at corruption, you know that you are representing people. My colleagues here highlighted it. But from the lawmakers, for example. The lawmakers are some of our referees. The lawmakers and the judges. The lawmakers, they brought bill to increase their own salaries, right? They increased their salaries exponentially. Now, when the judges also came, what happened? They said no. Are you seeing the drama? The judges, they brought the bill, but the lawmakers, they said no. But after increasing their own salary, how about the teachers and other civil servants? They are ignored. And these people, what they're receiving is a lot, bro. So I think for me, corruption is a serious problem. That's why every now and then you hear, last time they closed another, it's a pharmacy, Mr. Bojang and other stuff. Yeah. We don't even know who is telling the truth. This story will come, another story will come, we are confused. Somebody who is helping a lot of Gambians, uplift Gambians, helping Gambians in terms of health sector, they close it down just because of one thing. If they close that one, what about that acute kidney?
Absolutely.
How many people died?
Big question.
Heads should have been rolled. So I think, as I said, I always want to be precise. We need this thing, morality, attitudinal change, and let us be honest. Let us tell one another the truth, and let us stop these praise singing here, and let us say to one another the truth. If something is wrong, let us say it. It doesn't matter how much it will cost us, but the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. That's what Edmund Burke said. So good people, when they see something that is very bad, they should always condemn it. If you see evil is taking over goodness or so, it's because the good people are keeping quiet, they're not doing anything. And that is disastrous. Thank you.
Esteemed viewers, just to remind you once again, this is Fine TV Gambia, your only viewpoint. And of course, it is your current affairs program on a theme today. The journey after independence. We are, into issues, our educational sector, our health sector, corruption, you understand, the economic aspect, since after independence. Gambia is 59 years old today. But how far are we in our economic aspect? How far are we in our educational aspect? How far are we in corruption, whereby, many believe that corruption is now a broad daylight, it's everywhere. People do it without any fear. So going back to Umar, I know, you have, a lot of issues to talk about when it comes to corruption. Karl Marx once said that corruption is worse than prostitution. Because if you are, most of the time, if you're engaging in corruption, what you do is you are depending on people's, what everybody should have, you are seizing that as an individual, taking that on your own.
Killing people. You are killing people.
Absolutely. So I mean, where he declared like it is worse than prostitution. Prostitution, let's say it might be only for your individual, absolutely, but for corruption, you are affecting the whole populace. So Omar, what do you have to say? I mean, in that regard.
So yeah, this is very sad that we are living in a country. Corruption on sign is a tradition. Corruption on sign after the level of the mold man sila hakola. Sidibe will still continue to talk about attitudinal change. Still has to run down our civic awareness. What can you do for your country? And what your country can do for you. So we realon ko ita mo banko dingol. Andong banko dingye nyantol so. Pero nyantol ko no. Gade ko right so wala tinang ko kabirimba talking about education ko the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education dingol man traga karan in our public institutions. You know, in our public schools. The failed educational system yang gabe installing. Ito mala feeding wala through war. Most of them prefer in America or big, private schools. They are going to pay millions of dollars for them to get quality education. Coming Uncle Yafa the Nyamen. Then the education was not, that quantity. We have quality education, but we do not have it quantity. But time, GB time. Corruption. In China, you are there. In Europe, you resign. They force you to resign. But what happens in Gambia? We celebrate them. Science, for instance, if Ibrahim is appointed or Uncle Yah is appointed as, let's say, Minister of, Education, and then Abiji for 10 years, I'm on Bullo, like I'm on Motosang, I didn't be in the public institution. But time, no uncle Falinta within a blink of an eye, Mobe at Bunyalu, I'm not a Balboro, you will be able to in a private institution. I base some of, for instance, Sebeco, America, or other part of the world, put it high quality education so that people will start celebrating more. Kendola, Maja Bunyalu,
Pafuda,
Akatambarik, Ecolodia.
Uncle
Kurumin detail, Yana Abunda. And for Uncle, it will like Oran Uncle, Blooming a deal or what is a blooming a taro. When I look at Sadaro. Yeah, even religiously. When I look at Sadaro. Sadataran and the Barcalafae more seeming as Saladi. So corruption in Africa, in Gambia in particular, coming 1965 today. We said Jame blamed Jawara for corruption. But then what we heard from people is like Jawara atika balafa duna like aka balafa moyel up to an extent ne corruption kay kaka aflo ko teta ay si aflo ni molie de yenana comme ni wol ni mbotala say you can come back. If that was the case, then I didn't go. Considering what time the country has been facing issues like this. More corruption. Most of maybe Jamila Jamano, corruption was not that rampant as now. Because Ninja corruption, I found corrupt. But to some extent, he might not allow other people to be corrupt. But I found back I think I had a battle, whether you like it or not. But Sangana Barula Jamano aside. From the president to any individual, Science and Miango, they are holding big positions. All corrupt, all of them. From the president, permanent secretaries, ministers, even our National Assembly members, they are all corrupt. They are all corrupt. So before we go, Edward Francis Small said, non-taxation without proper representation. Are we still represented? Do we still need or are we still having the representation that we deserve? but say ni ka jelo ko a jara député le ko itali fama ye nafulol taye kafun ya ke fa on taye ba wolbe official to le ko there is a constituency development fund for every constituency. Say, what happens? Other people will not even know that there's a constituency development fund. I contested last local government election. You will talk to people about what development fund about.
Still back to the education.
It still has to come down to the civil awareness of the people. Moli la nyantol kala muta kalon ko to nyanda ka nyene ga nyanda ka ke andum kule bi je miyan ko wonyanda ka kele wayden to ngala bi wala mala laftam man la kana ka so bari on ko ning diam da ngala ada nyanda ka mimbe fo ko beleta mela fla ka nako ko do janne thank you.
Interesting. So Mr. Zani would also like to comment on the corruption, the stage of this country, and then what do you think should be put in place to ensure that this corruption is mitigated? Some believe that it cannot be stopped, but I think it can be stopped.
The corruption of Janko, aka lafa. The corruption index Gambia ni ajibe. Watu jamano la Gambia ka lafa, corruption ka lafa. Umare memfo Jawra kabra watu corruption bijen. In the sense that I mean for Jawra kabala fa juna. So okamala fa do bijen ni corruption ko lado. Ake transfer. Corruption no mako work corruption mako. So but we can blame that to various factors. Jawra at the time no cabinet même for that the five senior school bank at the malod the entire cabinet. So lo noti close asking do jaga kola pour ka muru natna so ka more function the civil support.
That's a problem.
So there are factors.
So those who are understanding factors.
Fango the corruption okita factor jama. So jamena ta koma afanya marketa. So bande fe jenko nta pala yam kulti mela ko ala buso ayna ka farol.
Okay.
Mo corruption okay. Ya mude ya fa. Nakeba lumumba kafo ako corruption ka mumin fa Africa sasa buka fa. Ada wala tunya. Adum corruption yaji be jam sidibe ya men fo won tunya. Tikoles the attitude. Umar fani nanda ko mo tunya ni farambe wala fa. Ni mo ka place de jam ila mo kana ni na de konto ya de kana ke konto. Ni ka place bar. Kana ka bo ifane bomban. Mo be mi na ke ka. The first thing ika membule sulo ko wala ni ka fa ko bamba yesu nyaro. Ikane ye konto ya fa ko ifane bomban ni dael. Ni mula do asise kilo len asite ko wamna mo wala. Ibamban so ila mo kana ya fa ko corruption ke. Jenko ke sunyaro ke. Umar ya fanya ni mambu mulo in 2-3 months wala mo mudo bal sang wala di mo sa taw wala mo mudo ka ko ni mo bazarol. So that is the attitude. Atara for corruption we cannot blame national government demand. Corruption bijere and naje gol corruption ma koy kan in all forms. Mana no fo wala ndiko ajibe bi mi kerne masakunda kono do se corruption ko mo janko be keren dawda. The Dr. Banya case. Dr. Banya dara fo ya muta corruption la ya sama ko haya kele eventual suta ali kawe sama kaso.
He's been pardoned.
Ya bula. Muna na ya bula. Because you got to go, this is normal, movie back, you can move that. Plus, how many scandals left from Kenya in the State House? Me I'll go a bigger corruption. The passport scandal. Momo kasika kamala masakunda. Amam better. So when mover mo kasika cool like kasiko. Tunya in the files. Passport scandal. You have people close to the president. Me I'll they are involved. Munakate. Ako ni ikamu. So among the central government, not a local government, KMC. Kabla sultana interview bondia ning musinu ko mona ra ko la isi tarifata mo fita alanga tablo kan otat sultana ne ka fuata ka ha wala admit on TV ko yes no corruption ko mona kita corruption no hana da musar de lasta na wala anyenda ka mutal ya sama ya soron fasio wala ya fa wala ya place ni mona ki ya transfer wala mon na bir kama ida kan sultan corruption no men kede je Brega da ka sultana fela mo le staff li bukajo this time na pa be ndo jabe interview ke kan fa kala ko man bota ki ba ko wala ka do ko ke ne council ne fen ko bari man jono because of corruption corruption mo jela konkandi o pabil la sukana ni no do ko be braka na kaso
Sad.
plus braka na kaso 60% of their revenue nyanda kam mo back to people ay na ko tanol ma ko doku ban braka waje ni katam bije ya lebu ni katam sino ko musul me ka wuri kada wuri ka lebu billahi wallahi tan because mo kada won ko me yango ni kana loptano de pour ki bondi ke bonu dal fan wala ke doku aman naje mo dantan wala bele jifol kon andi sa mun nyam modi me anko ni ke na place ikata akano dile ya muta ya ko billahi wala tan na ben kare la ko na place ta jam fanta bango kete ya ku vula ki killing ya kaloke kalo ku jaw ba nyati ma to nyakan killing fulan nyam ye promise lahi do wala ka ko I promise that I will
without any ill
will fear
affection something like that. I don't know.
ala ko qur'an ko ko ya ay walizina mo limata kulu ma tafalu al kana fempo al temenke sa ku fula na ji ye kaloke killing fulan nyam ye lahi do ke bango be yo ke sai kana wala fe sunya killing because libe afon diko wala killing fulan nyam fanam honesty libe honesty fanam fo sabanya fanam mi mire ni ati mo mi mire la kabro su do fo because ni te ko suno ke hani dalas kilata ni ifata no ya yewtal wol men bonko ben ni jeko di so ni de mari yewtal men mo dina ka fa gamenol ko wol nata yam falete wol may yam fete nan ko to ma do mi an ko kidney problem wala fa den na kala laran kili na ba tan ra ni fo ni ko ni mol may yam fe ala fa wala
Oh,
sambi ni mol ko mi an ko lebi jeng ko ke men ni la tan do an ka ba kidney problem so to anyen da kata oversystem ni ko ka jarmo mo na da jarmo si de jara ka gana gale nako uta utu wawlo jam ika tin fanko kadda ke ko ni fanko man sabgo da so neje wol bige bekke no sambi ko jenko ko no ni kada ma kataw so no ko to mani fata because ala kidni man jarno jam amanna ma ko fonso pour kata banda afat akama yam funyu sambi ni ko no me anko wollo ko ni ta ya badra tinya ani na kada man taw ni wol fata bi la saldar almawo se do ya foko moji ha jumala jiro bala ko mo julta banko be juro bala ay moji la fata banko dingol ko me anko me yam famare abita be alata ranya e morning ala timo neje kanta aske no be ka sali wala ka ko julge kan jimbo balke ala kam kafra yam bala jam bono bari mule na fru niata ati dal ati ita kisala because fo mule ya fema follow ko muy multi ala al hajito so na diko wala bije plus nga nyuma ko yalla ta masako ka ida kan nga pour même be fek pour ka tane ko masako na demand na local government me ngo fongo local stamp la wala fonka kin to manako masako ka ida kan so dara fo ko marbo wulta uliwo marbo o marbo jide samsa marbo uliwo wo skandal fa ngare je mun bot aliya mo men dara ko fi mo boy ta passé ida kan corruption men ngare jala mo men dara ko fem momboji so ñun bebe caring ta ministry to tourism ministry the GT board na kam na parliamentary na parliamentary inquiry sekretary parliamentary minister man Hamad Ba he was even brutal
absolutely
billahi so in a serious nation a vote of censure should have been passed Hamad Ba bondi la pass because he was really major defect
Coronavirus also.
the corona funds Allahu akbar Gambia is a sad nation deka to ka fole mo ka fa ko is a signature ka fa ha and man rafa come because of the people in the government, but B, don't you think that you come in because of Jenkola? Because Moji level fakam because of Jenkola. Because bang, Nakaramul but tabi SIG Bukanakaram. SIG Bukanakaram, do be the first time like SIG. I cannot in the tatam. I don't know only 10% do you welcome. Last time I reported this morning, GT Young leave on, tap Moleko, if a porter second. Leave on the Fenko, Masonari, and had $25 million. $25 million. $25 million. You will be a common. So we are not serious about anything here in this country because Dana LGB Mojile Fakam be on issues Lamiaranko, on conditions Lamiaranko, they can be done here. Namuru Yamianko Kanda. Now, Dr. Mayanaman, the first successful knee operation Kaja worked. Na Elon also, very much more. Munana Masimo Mansoto? Million different amount. Now, 3.5 or 3.9. What did the town Lulni say? Ulio Menson. According to sign, it's like more than time. Yalan Bongo Meaku Nigawa is only 1% or less than 1% of the population will be Molakudu be Putu Pasaka. The rest of the citizens will be suffer. Ndela Munda Masakuna Dokuland. Every month, necessarily, I can document, I can compliment directly over 540 something dollars. Karo Kari Golban in the Kodoto, Eka Samekaru Namoku. ndaka mun jewo kono national GBB e kata mo le de traplet silo mo betea ni en silo mo de tambe de kama do sa ye ko mudle e kasilo jala jamma fo nyaawo faare ni jam nyaawo faare mul min bol bakar takam full speed la ni so wala fi men sa fin at any moment I fin in a serious country ba anyama ni be bor kan o slow kan o sila sila kan fo ni kono kata fo base ñen ka slow la fano do ni yo bor ko yalla ko ñin kana so mo jile mo faka accident be each and every day because ñena slow men do ko la me doku because mo ka kickbacks na OIC center jam ye mo na fanye ko di fenso ni 64 million lambo fo yo lo sanol
lambo ni fa
64 million in a serious country fe mo ba ko ko ni hani inquiry for man so are we serious so gameno kala ka bata so natanda ka bata ha because niaga bangu sobe kan nyanda ka wuli nyokam ay bangu kanyen on issues la bayan ko be kere corruption ko mum fa sa sabu ka fa bangu kan corruption ka asgamul sabu corruption tiny police yaji ko le kere je ko kana mi yalan ko dia criminal issues wala ko mi yalan ko ay be kere instead ndala police fon ike jagal nyin corruption be kere nya police mo mena ka si fo ye botu ya fako jonga here games birka ira consular fangol boni la kato boni kaf ko is public evidence will belan muna na police monte ya arrest jongo is not transferred to banyu ka fa mane ko tay corruption keji we will say this these are things we cannot downplay na jarna fem na ke so corruption we kerine and we are putting a blind eye at it more worry more care because at some point we are all complicit mbeda bi mbel da ba ko ida nga corruption fasal kamu engre pra corruption ke wala na jin na nyala ka adu mbel nya bala mi mako kanja nambe manso femba so na balul be tente na ka dete mul be tente na ka fana lo tanol to ka dum borul man soto musul sang imaje milka advocacy ka ko women life matters imaje yede amanga musul man da faka musul be faka han sang ba singol ko loka information ka flow nyama amanda flow nga nyama ba sakunda ka sikol kane mul man da bodum ko kam wa rumors ka sia ado jawra ya fanyam dami wala dunia fu mansia rumos ni kamen jamaay mu to nyaan tan football sector de GFF ndem mo kinel mi alam ko nalam ko GFF ba kataka e ba kato kikan ba ke fam they are the best national sport association ko national sport mo jol ka fami ka wurin ka bare ko suno be je yung kamala yung symbol ta mi alam ko ay la symbol de bol tamaka na football fara ibrahima ning nakardam fo la fanna yirwa yung fani ko bi jama ka wurte te wurila because moneketa ebe implement so deal some of you maybe could be very good ballers ala football no mo jama la kare ka fajam because of football amanda o nyaata bi stadium kini fanya na can you imagine a whole nation Gambia ndol mom play no fanga bango kana hawgi mom ke be play banda manasa foko lolti ko FIFA ma ko dingira every year FIFA ka gal segment pour do ko na wando who are those responsible for that yemona kera fema na sidi mo hayna jana muka play no jeng katana hongi mo play jana wonde bankolet so unemployment fund mo jama ina kadugo bi mo be tanu ka kati tani no sol ni fengol ana wol fund man wonda taroke certificate ko taro ni fengol ko jamal tami ka ke sabu ka ke so ikaje say do gol man soto say fengol adulta billahi wallahi nak moje amamme adunde nyoto because of drug ay kuslama ko in kusme ango mo kulo ka bani wolba I wish here documentary jibe sarale e ka mokulu te ka ke droko ti sai ma fani ko saba abagambe je namo ja nyamande amam amal lo musi nyama boyo now in this last program all of ka adi to fat alo program akola mo far je da veride because I o kuslama abe dara fa ni bole ala mol yamro ala bol yamro ko ade seldara so mama ko by the time I realized it was late yo blen mo do ko puka sama fati bu so ko nyaka futal because of drug wala metende na kake Krembe haila because of corruption. Because of corruption. Because corruption in the cool menta ketable na football pitchol in the kram bundal in the jarkina bundal cool be tembe kanya be bajer funding ko se engage ni me engage be idol ni idol be drog ma be mol fala be mol sola be fon be fala drog la fongo ko nyaabe mala be rubrique la so be tinde ka tinde wana masa na dogula na mol mi am ko fense to ita secure so security bakala am surprise ko tawo fala banda man jam security la so but this should have been our first victim so wete na wan ni e bunjangol lo e be bunjangol be fensol lo la ye wulindi ye o se dina wala be wayal kala ji te dina be wulo kala sol kon yo ci kala ji pour para be sile le bundal do hano fonti tankal foy be ko police no attack muna abi sabu because of corruption wala keta ni corruption keta the consequences of corruption are always severe adun ko mo rakam fo peace to the government abi na fa matina ni molta ye mol push foy ta foy sustain naketa people are agitated be wulla ni wulda unrespected. These are some of the consequences of corruption. But the truth is, the president is abetting, helping corruption. All right? Institutions are abetting and helping corruption. Bibi na moja leka jambi eka voucher da the certain level senior civil servant ni kata. The president have to approve it. Wodul kata eka finti kata eka bangkola kodewol tinade in the form of paradigms and all of that. Ini muna kana in return. Bukan fanyin ka. Corruption. Corruption. Masa kunda bi. We have different pay scales. Hey, ni mantu na fanyo ni magotsa. Eko minister yol joy fay yele jo ka fay. At some point, minister from some of them are paid more than the National Assembly. National Assembly for Najeko, na join the Kalafa minister Melaka join Santa because we have to hold them accountable. So Nika Junti, so Fena Jolafa, Amanda Wala, speaker from Talafa guest. So welcome in Sudo, 300,000 or more, wala 500,000, wala a million will come in a month. Curriculum call for it. Tijal ning oda civil servant miyanko wala maskunda fon masnali menka maskunda samba wala buka so sango do you know ko most of the teachers most of the nurses sold them anything called la pay pa anu abako wala kimesi after the program you can go down and talk about it wala you can ask anybody about mari ba abako wala kimesi ye most miyanko de kajo wala kema and these are the people miyanko wala ndeka londo bunda fanundi ibajala all the other sectors comme na fa nyame maskunda mal fa buka njeba like to me some of the even half of the budget you making education you let them monitor them closely ni education monta nyaaw ye mol bondiji yalo ni jang ni mom mile tuta ya extend ya fan do control ko nyana mankol ko eje bebo yalo banko tita I'm telling you this ni mang dekkal di murne mango patida mol be menki kan nyola batare ala ayenda ka bola ad mensa bonu wala kan farok in chena mo nyala fa nyame ibo ka hanyo corruption nyake kimtal ye mala alive wala ye fa lo contest is the same Gambe jam ni corruption okay ike promote sako as long as it corruption okay ka ni asoto kickbacks ko joko kana ni jambur slow faram jambur hay kanu imanya woslo ba duku kana mum pare slow katinya labo ya di contract to menna ni famol be sunya no ko jire fo labo contract ko ina ya bundu bul onen ko dota ya jomi nanata plus b and b men eko project ko imperator amasa difference sanyu kiglo nazi but b from here I'm going there tadi billahi kata jambur you have a lot of loopholes Solomon Betian. Look, talk about the Banjul project. Mona failing. Is it no corruption? But I'm not na mol ka contract with me will come because will charge an override funkola overpay funkola it call over charge. So new okay it will find they have that kickback. The kickback they not amateur now so don't for especially the commercial interact in 10 years time people are going to take that in this country. You can have one you either become businessman or you are government employees. If you become businessman, at level more bank control because banko yalo for malon the politicians or businessman will keep control. Go with that one.
Influence.
That too. Now economy better at level. If you go for kickbacks, I'll kickbacks will move. Well, I'll put be munumana because don't look at councilman for come confidence. Understand? Go kunal fat about kitchen. So this is the problem. So what we are best at going to cover al nabetu al nifat. Kadika alnadi alal alay banko ska din tolen doka fa alnadi alal ala sulay banko la ala mo sulay banko alay banko ska din tolen ko mo liye alal something ala adinna ngam ko alna be di alal fa ala sulay dolen banko so fonna wulile na tunya fo nyoye na man ni mo man ako sol na wuli nyo kamma ko ni mel bi jewol ta faade ko na jewol ko crossno ke nyami kam makoy ifama be crossno ke ka be crossno ke ki makoy ki promote ki protect so wo kamala don be tente na ka bada la fa menam ta sotla
I alluded earlier on, it was just a fantastic, program with these great, individuals here. But before we take a leave, I know they will have at least one or few words that they want to share with the viewers. Though we're out of time, that's the problem. They're also engaged. But we said earlier on it will be an 1 hour program. But now, let me say, it's almost 2 hours, almost 2 hours program. So, Mr. Sidibe, finally, just to cut things short, I know we've delved into, different issues and of course remedies, were given, to the authorities and to all individuals because it is not, a single, responsibility. Instead, it is a collective responsibility. At times we blame the government, but I think also we have a part to play. So what message do you have to send to the individuals down there as Gambia celebrates, 59 years still, we lagging, in our educational aspect, economic aspect, political aspect, corruption, other things. So what is your message?
Thank you so very much, Mr. Mbai. It's an honor to be here again. What I will just say is this: nationalism is very important, and it should take precedence over any other thing. Because when you say nationalism, it's to be patriotic towards country. The country's interest should supersede any other thing, whether individual interest or another group's interest. Now, if you look at nationalism, because I'm trying to round it off, there was a documentary that I watched. This documentary was typically China. I saw two kids, in fact, three of them. Two of them were fighting, the other one was crying. Two of them were fighting, I mean, literally fighting. The other one was bitterly crying. So as soon as they heard the national anthem was being sung, they all cut up like this. The one that was crying stopped crying. And those that were fighting, they also immediately stopped fighting and they all stood. The other one put the arm here or the hand here on the chest. And the other one was doing like this. These are small guys, small kids. Now, if you look at that one, these are kids. Compare it to Gambia, for example. How do we feel when the national anthem of our country is being sung? Sometimes it is being sung. Some of us will be browsing. Others will not even mind about whatever is being said there. And I think the national anthem is very important, provided that we would adhere to the message. Because it's a short and precise message, but it is moralistic and also didactic. And all in all, I think what we need to do is all boils down to this attitudinal change, and at the same time, let us be honest to ourselves. You know, if you are given a position that you think you cannot handle, please say, I cannot do this. You know, but you force yourself, you'll have a ghost worker, as I said, somebody will be doing everything for you, and you are just there as a stooge or so. All these things are the reasons why we are still, you know, some steps backward to the promised land. So precisely, thank you so much. This is what I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sidibe. And now, Ms. Omar, I mean, what message do you have to send to the government or to individuals at large regarding, I mean, the Gambia celebrates its 59, I mean, or 59, I mean, independence celebration today?
All right, thank you very much. And I will still want to go with my native language. Abaraka for having me here. And it was indeed a very great discussion with Uncle Kutubo and Sidibe. The message that I have will be going to the government as we celebrate 59 of our independence, I will predict. Fonyi is part and parcel of the Gambia. You cannot take us out from the Gambia. You cannot take Gambia out of us. The government should take this very serious. That Namolba Fakane, and then we are running out of patience. The people of Fonyi, Baradale, as if sometimes government can treat local if you are not part of the country. The government cannot use our borders, or Senegal cannot use our borders to fight their enemies. It is not our problem. It is their problem as Senegalese. Let them solve it in their land. Let them not use our land. They are continuously killing our people. Continuously, non stop. And government mandraka fem kede, mandraka fem fode. On Friday, I told the Minister of Defense right in his face that my people are dying and we are running out of patience. We cannot take it anymore. If the people cannot have justice, let there be no peace for the government. We are going to fight back if things happen to continue happening this way. Because some are getting injured, some are not going to school, simply because a neighboring country is trying to have our land or use our land to kill our people. We are not going to take it. So the government should put enough mechanisms. I know the Minister of Defense told me that they are putting enough mechanisms, but they are not enough. Put up more mechanisms. Make it a consideration. For instance, if his daughter or son has been killed, in that land, something immediately would have been done. But why is it that they are neglecting us? So they should stop that. The government should stop that as we celebrate our 59th anniversary today. Let's put this into consideration that the people of Fonyi deserves better and their life really matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. And then to Bagulu.
Yes, finally, I think I will send a message to all of us as Gambians. There is no a distinction between us and the government. It's true we are the people and they are the governors, but they are from us. Why is it really different? Why does it always look like we are not the same? These are people that have been with us, that are complaining with us, eating with us, and they are from our homes. These are our uncles and our brothers, our mothers, and so on. But why does it always look different when they are there? In Banku Kanjam, you have people me anko official yaki talent. Men diati official Congolais ka keje. Inala watam ne lafa ka futaje utamul. Doko me anko anyanda kake lunkeling akita lunjamala because of imang efficient. Dobi imando bolno. Ni imando official kono. Taje yefenino official kono ibakaso. Hali chabo inagara file ila assistant even the let's say PSL DPS la file assist la all of that. Anyanda ka stop le. Because more time of the job will be carrying. You have schools where principal school talent. Alright? So the list is on and on. Now more but the mayor uncle Mina Charity. Now more but the mayor uncle Yenaka Doko Menke near Doko in Kanyama Brom, it can fast even from the people that they are leading. Pulling in the castople. Then Vanam told me uncle be Mubanko de Multi, Nimuna Banko, Salafina Bankola. But a lot of us are allowed to put any bongo from Kawura like a collar. Don't me uncle sometimes we are out to talk about issues. The government called Babam Fala. All the time, Catacol more discord because more than sign that for at a Amangera Kurke Moy from Bongo because of Mumeke and Santo. So, but in most cases, different Capcom, member from Mekika Duma is also a problem. Let's hold them to account. These are not less than 1% or 1% of the population. At most, they are not more than 2% of us. We can do something about it. And why is it that when it comes to choosing these people, so the problem is endemic. I mean, these people will have the chance. We have the chance now to hold them to account. I don't I was going to lead a protest at National Assembly covering the last budget Konada. When you look at the budget, it's not realistic. Come and sit there for a minute. We are not budgeting to develop this country. We are only budgeting to sustain ourselves in power. And we will be carrying but we are comfortable. So we are also complicit. And all the time, I'll attitude.
Very important.
Now, if you go to the traffic, moment I was talking to the driver, so these are attitudinal issues that we need to deal with. If you go to our police, the police will be traffic they are abetting indiscipline in traffic. If you now report police, you can follow button. You go there linked, you go to the police on driver. So it needs to stop. Right? So come in more from Daniro at Buka Bankusam, Nimanda Fon alone from Najakum from we are an independent nation. Independence is not about having a national flag. Independence is about having to stand and say, I am I. Can we do that? We cannot. Because every year in, year out, the president calls something, I don't play no. You go and seek for budget support year in, year out for 59 years. Next budget, I can tell you for next budget line draw, we will have to go out for budget support. Ngata Melia, they will give us money. They can have grant. There are grants. There are strings attached on Jamaica. They will come back to us. We want to have this. That is why Chinese will be in the back of follow my in Zambia, now in Zambia, the Chinese are very powerful for a police station. They have their banks and they are arresting people because Zambia now my jam. The government because of a lot has passed. So, Nimawuli, we are losing grip of our nation to foreigners. Billahi wallahi, we are losing our sovereignty. We are losing our business. Be nimba school rejam. Eka modul jele ning lomor ko ten. Eka modul city kan woldi Senegal kan hadu nyumba ko. Modul mi angon. We have a ports. Modul mi angon kana ka ji polo so buka ji kana ji wala bango kay dunna. So ko ni fango be class ni fango abe ka ji wala bango ka. Na business bo fa kana business be fa kana to Senegal. On top of that julom ben kanda ndel be ko ni men fa bi ni julol fa. We will continue. What are we doing about it? The founding fathers will banko hand over to in peace. But we are seriously failing. Banko memen hand over and dingulia. Billahi they will be proud of it. And all of us, members in that, we will be questioned. Dingul ba formula market. I saw a video last time. No more di ba ko jaru market and all of that. But we like to be called up. Ni am tell them to fight no. Na fa jana bifon kana over ni am tell them be B. Then government be name police on me and to funding ko. And sometimes I'm very disappointed with you. Ni mo man consistent at all. Me am ko bi ka wajan thanks sama da fa jana tan. Wala funding ko. Country. Ni usual ni adi jimbang right now. Sometimes I want to believe that it's going to fail. And the old generation will came in and yamaning who will cut down yam woman kill. So you see our problem? The old folks will catch a go akakaten. Whether right or wrong. Well yata je wala nyam wala na bi na bangko fendima bi jaritano because wawuli ani wala nyame abi wala nyam. To look ma. Ta school old you want to tell them about something they'll call the GO. Do you GO de la? So you have a little problem. Problem bi jere. So we in discussion civil on Independence Day, kabu president ka jina mod be ni ka sele na famu ni ka kola nin ngana be ke jango de mo defan na try ka implement mul ka office anytime they want mul ka office anytime they want official vehicle ka jele ke useless anyhow in traffic in phone call arrogance go warling in the civil in the public and civil service eta mo la do kudla do aytandi ko in fact is junior febo ita la ka jo temen taraji lu wala fan na la abuka fa the police abuka fa in the teaching part and education. So we have to empower ourselves. Now let us be alive. Nin sita a flexible couple coming bonko bukatinya by those that are doing bad, who they are standing about what they can do. That is why we are all complicit. So in as much as Nimo falling, we will continue to complain. Don't be from the far. Nimulena will batasu to have become very good. Don't be told all the time. Don't be lagra batuna. Lagrada. Don't go. Just got this. We are only waiting for judgment. And it's sad. They will the country that we are will be to them. Sometimes you want to even be a Rwandan. So thank you so much. This is what I have to say. So let us change our attitudes as the governed and as much as the governors, you have a responsibility to take. Now more responsibility. History positively will judge you. That would be just the start of it. Now further is going to. Sometimes we have to do this. Sometimes let us talk about the hereafter. The
balancing.
So the imams, you all have a role to play.
The balancing.
The pastors, all of you have a role to play. Teachers in our various ways in the classrooms, we have a responsibility to inculcate the right knowledge and understanding, enlightenment to the future leaders of this country. That this country is ours, and nobody will come from outside to develop it for us. We have to do it, and we cannot do it by just speaking good English.
The paradigm shift hereafter is also very important. So the corruption, the injustice, and all other things we have to put consider into it. So esteemed viewers and followers, just to end it here. It was your current affairs program, and of course on the theme, the journey after independence. These were great guests that were with me here. Mr. Mohammed Sidibe, like I mentioned earlier, is a writer, public speaker, youth activist, and of course, Mr. Kudubo Sane, a writer, public speaker, youth activist. Likewise, Omar, a politician, a youth activist, and a public speaker. So it was, entirely, a very interactive session with you, having you here on our platform, and of course, we look forward to, having you. In our subsequent programs on national issues. Hence, the program concept is current affairs, we'll always invite people like you to come and delve into matters that are affecting the society at large. So until then, it was a huge pleasure for me hosting this great young man here. And then, like I mentioned, I look forward to having you here. So once again, thank you for honoring our invitation. We are grateful. And then, esteemed viewers, continue, watching us on Fine TV Gambia, your only viewpoint on every Sunday from the hour 11 to 12. But today, it exceeded. I know it was quite interesting to an extent that I could not, hold onto the 1 hour. But I think it was quite befitting to allow them to delve into the matter properly. That's what we all know what is really going on and the steps that should be taken, both from the side of the government and of course from the side of the government. So until then, I wish you good luck and then bye bye. Thank you.